The stellar dawn shot through space, pulling away from the Vraath dreadnought. The remnants of the battle lingered behind them, wreckage from Vraath ships, the faint flicker of fires still burning in the distance. Alya stood on the bridge, her mind racing as the stars streaked by. The artifact in her hand still hummed softly, but the crystal's power had been silenced. Yet, something lingered. That voice, "You are the chosen," echoed in her mind, and no matter how hard she tried to focus on the present, it wouldn't leave her. The crystal, the artifact, and the ancient forces they were tied to, it was all part of something far larger than she had anticipated. "Captain," Thane said, breaking through her thoughts, "we're clear of the Vraath fleet. They've pulled back for now, but it looks like they're regrouping. We've bought some time, but not much." Alya nodded, trying to shake the feeling of unease. "Good. Keep the fleet in formation. We need to regroup with the other Alliance forces. Let's see what our losses look like and prepare for the next phase." Mira stepped forward, her face pale, still shaken by what they had experienced aboard the Vraath dreadnought. "Captain, I need to talk to you. Privately." Alya gave her a quick nod. "Thane, you have the bridge. Mira, let's go." The two women moved quickly to the briefing room, where the hum of the ship's systems was the only sound. Mira closed the door behind them, her face etched with worry. "I ran another scan on the artifact after we left the dreadnought," Mira began, her voice tight. "The energy readings are spiking. It's like whatever happened with the crystal triggered something inside the artifact." Alya frowned, her heart skipping a beat. "Triggered what?" Mira hesitated, then handed Alya a datapad filled with charts and data. "I'm not sure, but the artifact's power is growing, and the connection between you and the artifact is deepening. It's becoming symbiotic." Alya felt a chill run down her spine. "Symbiotic? You're saying it's bonding with me?" Mira nodded, her expression grim. "I think so. The artifact chose you, Captain, and now, after the crystal, whatever force controls these artifacts, it's growing stronger. The more you use the artifact, the more it bonds with you. I don't know how far this bond will go, but you need to be careful." Alya's hand tightened around the artifact, its soft glow pulsing with every beat of her heart. She had suspected this for some time. The artifact's influence was undeniable, but the idea that it was bonding with her, becoming a part of her, that was something she hadn't been prepared for. "Do we know what it wants?" Alya asked quietly. "What its purpose is?" Mira shook her head. "No, but I think whatever the artifact is connected to, it's ancient, far older than the Vraath, or even the civilizations that created the crystal. There's a pattern in the energy signatures, a repeating code like a signal. It's been active for a long time, waiting for something, or someone." Alya's mind raced, "And it chose me." Mira hesitated before speaking. "Captain, I don't think you're just its wielder. I think you're its key." Alya's breath caught in her throat. The weight of the situation settled over her like a heavy cloak. She had been chosen by the artifact, but she had no idea why. And now it was clear that whatever force was behind the artifact had plans for her, plans she wasn't sure she was ready for. "I don't have a choice, Mira," Alya said softly. "Whatever this is, whatever the artifact wants, I'm already in too deep. The Vraath aren't the real enemy here. There's something else out there, something far worse." Mira's eyes were filled with concern. "Just be careful, Captain. The more you use the artifact, the deeper the bond grows. And I don't know if there's a way to break that bond once it's complete." Alya nodded, her mind heavy with the implications. "I understand, but right now, we need to survive." Hours later, the stellar dawn rendezvoused with the remaining Alliance forces near a quiet system on the edge of Vraath territory. The battle had taken a heavy toll. Many ships were lost, and the Alliance fleet had been cut down to half its strength. But they had survived, and for now, that was enough. Alya stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the tactical display as the fleet regrouped. The Vraath would be back, and the Alliance couldn't afford to waste time licking its wounds. They needed to prepare for whatever was coming next. "Captain, incoming transmission," Thane said, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "It's from Governor Ryloth." Alya nodded. "Put him through." The view screen flickered to life, revealing Governor Ryloth's tired but determined face. He was in his command center, aboard one of the rebel colony ships, surrounded by tactical officers and data feeds from the battle. Captain Trent, Ryloth began, his voice rough. We've taken a beating, but we're still here. That's more than I can say for some of the others. Alya's jaw tightened. We lost a lot of good people today, but we managed to shut down the crystal. Zale won't be able to use it against us. Ryloth's eyes darkened. That's good news, but I don't think Zale's done with us yet. I've been getting reports from my scouts. There's something happening deeper in Vraath territory. Something big. Fleet movements, strange energy readings. We don't know what it is, but it doesn't look good. Alya felt the familiar pulse of the artifact in her hand. The Vraath were regrouping, preparing for something larger than just another battle. Zale's ambition had been clear from the start. He wanted more than just conquest. He wanted to unlock the full potential of the ancient power buried beneath the galaxy. We need to hit them before they're ready, Alya said, her voice firm. If they're building something, we can't give them time to finish it. Ryloth nodded slowly. Agreed, but we're spread thin, Captain. My forces are barely holding together. The mercenaries are demanding more pay, and some of the colonies are talking about pulling out. They've had enough. Alya's jaw clenched in frustration. The alliance had always been fragile, a loose coalition of rebels and outcasts, united by desperation rather than loyalty. If they couldn't keep it together, they didn't stand a chance against the Vraath. Keep them in line, Governor, Alya said coldly. We don't have the luxury of falling apart now. If we don't stop the Vraath, none of us will survive. Ryloth's gaze hardened. I'll do what I can, but don't expect miracles. The transmission ended, and Alya turned to Thane, who had been quietly watching the exchange. Do we have any intel on these fleet movements Ryloth mentioned? Alya asked. Thane nodded. We've intercepted a few encrypted Vraath transmissions, but they're heavily coded. We've got a team working on decrypting them now. Alya's eyes narrowed. Keep me updated. We need to know what Zale's planning. As the bridge buzzed with activity, Alya felt a deep sense of unease settle over her. The Vraath were regrouping, preparing for something bigger than anything they had faced so far. And whatever it was tied to the artifact, to the ancient forces lurking in the shadows of the galaxy. The whispers in her mind grew louder, the artifact's presence more insistent. Something was coming, and Alya knew that when it arrived, it would change everything. Later, as the stellar dawn drifted through the quiet reaches of space, Alya sat alone in her quarters, staring at the artifact in her hand. Its glow was soft, but its presence was powerful, filling the room with a sense of weight, of purpose. The voice she had heard aboard the Vraath dreadnought echoed in her mind. You are the chosen. What did it mean? Why had the artifact chosen her? Alya reached out with her mind, trying to connect with the artifact to understand its purpose. The whispers grew, louder, more insistent, but they were still fragmented, like pieces of a puzzle that didn't quite fit. Then, suddenly, the artifact flared to life. A vision flooded her mind, a vast, ancient structure, buried beneath the surface of a distant planet. It was massive, its walls carved with strange symbols and intricate designs, glowing with the same energy as the artifact. And at the center of it all, a massive, pulsing core of light, connected to thousands of smaller artifacts, each one glowing with power. Alya gasped, the vision fading as quickly as it had come. She sat back, her heart racing. That was it. That was the source, the heart of the ancient power the artifact was connected to, and Zale was looking for it. Alya stood, her resolve hardening. The war wasn't just about the Vraath anymore. It was about something far older, far more dangerous. And she was at the center of it. Alya paced the bridge of the stellar dawn, her mind racing. The vision she'd seen still pulsed at the edge of her consciousness. The vast structure buried beneath an unknown world, surrounded by smaller artifacts, all glowing with the same energy as the one she now held. The core of everything. The heart of the ancient power she was tied to. Captain, Thane's voice cut through her thoughts. We've finished decrypting the Vraath transmissions. You're going to want to see this. Alya crossed the bridge to Thane's station, her heartbeat quickening. If the Vraath transmissions held any clue to what Zale was planning, it could give them the edge they desperately needed. Thane brought up a series of decoded messages on the tactical screen. Most of it is standard fleet coordination, he said, but there's one transmission. It's different. coated more heavily than the others, and it's addressed to a high-ranking official in the Vraath military. Alya's eyes narrowed. Zale? Thane nodded. It looks like he's coordinating a special operation. The details are vague, but they keep referencing something called the Ascension. From what I can piece together, it sounds like a final phase of some larger plan. The word sent a shiver down Alya's spine. Ascension. It echoed the ambition she had seen in Zale, his talk of becoming gods, of unlocking a power that would give the Vraath dominion over the galaxy. Mira stepped forward, her face grim. Captain, I think it's related to what you saw in your vision. If Zale knows about the structure you saw, then this ascension could be his way of accessing the full power of whatever is buried there. Alya stared at the decoded messages, her mind reeling. If Zale was planning to unlock the ancient power at the heart of the galaxy, then they had less time than she'd thought. The artifact had shown her the structure for a reason. Zale was after it, and if he reached it first... We can't let Zale find that structure, Alya said, her voice hard. If he unlocks whatever power is hidden there, the war will be over, and not in our favor. Thane nodded. Agreed, but how do we find it? We don't even know where to start looking. Alya thought back to the vision. The structure had been massive, unmistakable, but the location was still a mystery. She could feel the artifact's connection to the structure growing stronger, but it wasn't enough. Not yet. The artifact is leading us, Alya said quietly. I've seen the structure, but I don't know where it is. If we keep moving, I think the artifact will guide us. It's connected to whatever's out there, and Zale is following the same path. Mira hesitated. Captain, that's a huge risk. We're running out of time. What if the artifact doesn't lead us there in time? What if Zale reaches it first? Alya's jaw tightened. She understood the risks, but she also knew they didn't have any other options. They couldn't afford to wait for more information or to launch a full-scale search. If they didn't act now, the Vraath would gain access to the power buried in the structure, and there would be no stopping them. We move now, Alya said, her voice firm. We're going after Zale. The Stellar Dawn raced through hyperspace, its engines humming as it cut through the void. Alya stood in her quarters, staring at the artifact resting on the table before her. Its glow was steady, pulsing softly, but she could feel the power within it, growing stronger with each passing moment. She closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind, trying to connect with the artifact the way she had before. The whispers were there, fragments of voices, ancient and distant, speaking in a language she didn't understand. The connection between her and the artifact was deepening, just as Mira had warned, but Alya couldn't stop now. You are the chosen. The voice echoed again, filling her mind with a strange sense of purpose. The artifact wanted her to follow, to find the structure, to unlock the power that had been hidden for centuries. But was it leading her to salvation or destruction? The vision returned, sharp and vivid. A planet, its surface scarred by ancient wars, its skies darkened by storms. The structure was there, rising from the ground like a monument to forgotten gods. The energy pulsing from it was immense, overwhelming, and Alya could feel its pull, dragging her toward it. She opened her eyes, her heart racing. I know where it is, she whispered. Alya called an emergency meeting of her senior officers in the briefing room. Thane, Mira, and Kalen sat around the table, their faces tense as Alya laid out the situation. I've seen the planet, Alya said, her voice steady. The artifact is leading us there. It's not far, just beyond the edge of Vraath-controlled space. Thane frowned. And you're sure Zale is heading there too? Alya nodded. The transmissions we decoded all point to a massive gathering of Vraath forces near that region. Zale is putting everything into this final push. If he reaches the structure first, it's over. Mira leaned forward, her brow furrowed. Captain, I don't doubt your vision, but this is a huge risk. If the Vraath have consolidated their forces, we could be walking into a trap. We need to be prepared for a full-scale battle. Alya's gaze hardened. We'll be ready, but we can't wait for perfect conditions. Zyle isn't waiting. We hit them hard, and we hit them fast. Kalen, who had been silent for most of the meeting, finally spoke. What happens if you reach the structure, Captain? What do you plan to do with the artifact? Alya met his gaze, her heart pounding. She didn't have an answer to that question, at least not one that gave her any comfort. The artifact had been guiding her, but she didn't fully understand its purpose. It had shown her visions, connected her to something ancient and powerful, but it hadn't revealed its true intentions. "I'll do what I have to," Alya said quietly. "We can't let Zale get his hands on that power. Whatever it takes, we stop him." The room fell into a heavy silence, the weight of Alya's words settling over them. They all knew the stakes. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about the future of the galaxy. As the stellar dawn neared its destination, the tension aboard the ship grew thicker. The Alliance fleet, what was left of it, moved into formation, preparing for the coming battle. The Vraath forces were already gathering near the planet, and Alya knew they were running out of time. "Captain," Thane said from the tactical console, "we're picking up multiple Vraath ships in the vicinity. Their forces are larger than we anticipated. Dreadnoughts, cruisers, fighters. They've fortified the entire system." Alya stared at the tactical display, her heart sinking. The Vraath had brought everything they had. This wasn't just a skirmish. This was a final stand. "Move us into position," Alya ordered. "We take out as many of their ships as we can, but our goal is to reach the planet. That's where Zale will be." Thane nodded, his expression grim. "Understood." The fleet moved in, weapons systems charging as they closed in on the Vraath armada. The view screen lit up with flashes of light as the first volleys of fire were exchanged. Explosions ripped through space as ships were torn apart, and the Alliance forces pushed forward, determined to break through the Vraath's defensive line. Alya stood at the center of the bridge, her mind focused on the task ahead. The artifact pulsed in her hand, guiding her, showing her the path to the planet. The structure was there, waiting for her. She could feel its presence like a beacon, calling to her. As the stellar dawn weaved through the battle, dodging enemy fire and returning volleys of its own, Alya's thoughts turned to Zale. He was down there, on the surface of the planet, closing in on the structure. She could feel his presence, like a shadow on the edge of her mind. "We're through." "He blockade," Thane shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Heading toward the planet now." Alya's heart raced as the planet loomed on the view screen, its dark, stormy surface swirling with energy. This was it. The final battle was about to begin, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance.